Do you ever get tired of wasting good cardstock with your stamped images? They smudge, or maybe they're only partially stamped. Make sure to watch all 10 tips. Welcome, my crafty friends. I'm Dawn, creator of Dee Dee Creates Crafts. This is the channel if you are looking for simple, duplicatable stamps that you'll just have fun making. And are you ready? Let's get started crafting. All right, the first stamp we're going to use is called Every Chapter. I am in love with this stamp. If you are a retired librarian, if you're in a book club, if you lead a book club, if you just love to read as much as I do, this is a stamp you are going to want to own. So one of the first stamps is how to ink a stamp, especially a bigger image like this one. Well, if I can open my baby ink, there I go. The first tip and trick is to turn your stamp upside down and bring the ink to the stamp. Pat it on. I usually give it a little rub, and then we're going to stamp our image. There we go. Now to put the image down on the paper, we don't want too much ink. We don't want too little. We want a crisp image, and to do that, we're not going to rock the stamp. We're going to press firm without mashing, and there's our image. All right, so we're going to put this aside. We're going to finish our stamp. At this point, we could either color it like I did with this card, or we could absolutely do it more monochromatic, which I'm going to do today. So what I want you to do is totally rough up the edges of your cardstock. We're gonna make it a little bit shabby chic, emphasis on the shabby. So I'm gonna rough up my edges. A lot, as you can see. If you want an older effect even, you can rub some of the ink on the edge of the actual cardstock here. Okay, we've roughed it up, and so if you find like that ripped, I'm going to leave that. And let's bend it in with our finger a little so it turns and curls in. If you want to rip it or tear off a little bit, you can do that. Just personalize it. But these were your first two tips, was how to ink your stamps and then stamp firmly and straight down. The main thing is do not rock your stamp. Now, a lot of these tips are for newer stampers, so if you are a seasoned stamper, seasoned card maker, you may want to stick around for the tip number 6, how to, well, it's just a little trick. I'm not even going to tell you what it is yet. But other than tip 6, tip trick, say it 3 times real fast. Most of these tips are just truly for the newer stampers. I want this a little beat up more. There I go. So we're going to adhere this down to a layer. And if you want measurements, let me know. Otherwise, mainly for this video is more about the techniques than the measurements in the actual card. Now we could pop that up, we could lay it flat, whichever you prefer. I'm gonna go ahead and pop it up. I've made a career decision while we're right here together. Come on, little guys. Here we go, here we go. There we have it with our dimensionals, and we're gonna stamp this up and make a cute card with one stamp and monochromatic. So I want you to see this stamp can be used in multiple ways. You can make it colorful and fun, or you can make it a little more monochromatic, a little shabby chic. Now I'm gonna add a pearl just to make it, let's see how many pearls we want. Just to make it a little more feminine, a little more shabby. Don't you think pearls just always go well with the shabby chic? We put some lace. Now your last trick and tip. This is Shimmery Crystal Effects. Watch this. You're going to faint. This comes out like a gel. The reason I'm doing it last is because, there I go, it has to dry like we're drying our fingernails, like you just painted your nails. That's how long this has to dry, at least. And it also depends on how thick you put your gel. If you're put a lot, like you want it really three-dimensional, it may have to sit overnight. So I recommend that you complete your stamp and add this as your last little bitty. All right, I've got to hold this up to you, so I'm hoping you can see the thickness and the pretty. It just makes the glasses look a little more three-dimensional, a little more real. Now, let's get on to our next steps. I'm gonna get my little ink pads out here and some ink and our layers. Let me get our the next stamp is just a show and tell. It's not really the stamp we're making. All right, so 3 and 4 to get better results with your sentiments. I want you to, let me grab one. That's a sentiment. Here's my hello. This is, look how itty bitty. All right, just to trick your brain, put it on the diagonal, your sentiments, because you're not going to be so concerned in staring at the corners of your acrylic block. You'll focus more on stamping the actual sentiment. So that is your tip. Let me look, your tip number 3. Now, the second thing I like to do is practice stamping my, where's my black? Here we go. Practice stamping, I'm going to use green because my blacks are hiding from me. I like, especially with sentiments, to practice. See, that's a little heavy-handed. Perfect. Practice to see how much ink I need, or, well, I don't need that just yet. How heavy to stamp it. Now, I'm going to show you a trick in a little bit where you'll be able to skip that entire step if you have this next item. So this first, I've got our cute little leaves. And I think what I want to do with this is stamp it first generation, stamp it off, and then for our second stamp, come in. So I'm going to stamp it off and come in. One more. I think that's cute. Let me see if I can fill in the little holes I made. Little bit, not really. Okay, so let me show you one other trick I thought was super cute with this leaf. So I used a lighter green, I think that was pear pizzazz, and this one is, I think, garden green. I'll have to look. But come back and just barely rock your stamp into the green, the darker of the green, and stamp it over your leaf. Isn't that the coolest? It just gives you a little extra. Isn't that just the cutest? So I wanted to give you a little fun extra there with your stamps. And so now I want to come back with, let me find my little, I know I just took them off. Here we go. I'm going to put my little image guy, my sentiment, aside because I wanted to use some of the pretty flowers. So for the pretty flowers, I want to use some more of our Pear Pizzazz green, the lighter green. And just flower away around, you see it stick, around our leaves. Isn't that the dearest? And I'm staying more to one side. No reason, I just thought it's cute. I am using second generation flowers. All right, I'm getting a little carried away, but I'm liking what I'm doing. Let's go across the bottom, and then we'll leave some white. Or do we want white? I'm not sure we do. Hold on. All right, I'm laughing at myself. I'm loving these leaves. I have the little flowers. I'm getting a little carried away. You're like, we noticed. Okay, that was fun for me, right? All right, I'm gonna take that little guy off, and get ready for our My Friend stamp. And I want to, there's my black ink. It was set up for your next tip. So this guy, I'm gonna adhere this down to a layer. I get the glue where I want it, and then I just push it around with the tip of my glue bottle. That probably wouldn't have mattered. I'm laughing at myself. I could have flipped the paper around. That's funny. I did color and fussy cut some extras in case I wanted to add a little more, but we'll see, we'll see. I'm not sure yet. I want to add my other embellishments before I decide if we need those. And let me see where this guy is. Okay, so I've got this Hello strip sentiment, and I want to cut it just to give it a little emphasis. I think I want to cut it this way again. This way. Yep. So let me see how far I want it. I am laughing at myself. I think I'll put it right there. And I am gonna pop up that leaf. I think that'll be stinking cute. So my pop-ups are upside down. I'm laughing. I'm trying to focus more on the tips for us, and I'm kind of rather enjoying my card. So I'm getting tickled with myself. But what we're gonna do is, you're seeing all the tips and tricks so far. Yeah. All right, this one, because I'm gonna overlap the actual sentiment on the leaf, and I already popped up the leaf, I'm only gonna put the little sentiment guy glue on one side because I've got a pop-up on one side. Now, I thought it'd be cute to come back. All right, I need a little more ink, better. Hello, my friend. Isn't that sweet? So you could put it on the actual banner. You could do it like that, whatever you want in the whole wide world. I do have some flowers, but I'm not sure I want to add them. Now, are you ready for the cutest part? Check this little guy out. What? I know. It is another new stamp set. Here's another card I made with it. I had to have this. These are part of the mini catalog that's, it's from January to June. So it will be around, but what's going on right now, all right, I'm gonna put him right there and kind of hide my boo-boo. I just think he's so cute. And then I did have some bling, here we go. And this is part of the hand pin collection, but I'm like, whatever shade of green these little hand pin guys are, they just match so many different shades of green. It just makes me happy. And I'm gonna put one more little guy because we can. If I can pick him up, I put my take a pick down and couldn't find it. Oh, let's put him down here. All right, I am rather in love with this card. I'm gonna flip this over because it's Yucky Boo Boo. How cute is that? Look at these. Isn't he darling? This is part of the Hello Lady stamp. And look, a little punch for your ladybug. I'm gonna do a whole video on that stamp and that punch because there's so much we can do with it. Precious. So let me grab our next techniques. The next technique I have to share with you is actually the Stamparatus. This is a stamping, well, apparatus, hence the name Stamparatus. So with this, what I want to share with you is how crisp and clean stamps come out when we use this Stamparatus machine, if you will. So let me get some paper lined up. And you know what I'm going to use is my leaf because he was giving me a bear of a time with the regular block. So I'm going to use it on the Stamparatus. So let's put this here. You line it up where you want it on your paper. Put this here. You move your little magnets around. We're going to grab our green. You ink up your stamp and you stamp down. Now see the holes? Watch this. We can stamp it again because it lines up in the exact same spot. Look at that. It'll stamp forever and a day. So I love this if you're a new stamper, if you're not confident with your stamping, even after we do all these tips. I was never overly confident with my own personal stamping, so I got this for myself. And you'll see a lot of my cards I make with cardstock, and I think that came from not feeling confident with my stamping until I got the Stamparatus. And this is less expensive than brand X that's on the market, and I'll put the price in the description down below. So I wanted to share you with that because you don't have to practice stamping if you have a Stamparatus. Now, did you know? Let me get the next tippy. Here he is. Did you know, I have it all lined up. It says happy birthday. Did you know when you get stamps, this says happy birthday, it's long. What if I wanted it to fit on a label or a die cut? And I don't need it long, I need it more solid and together. Here's what we can do. We can cut it, which I've actually already done because I've already used it, but look, I just cut the happy birthday, the long one, and I'm gonna put my little happy above my birthday. Line that up, and let's, with some black here. Yeah, that's why I like the Stamparatus. Here we go. All right, let's do us a little happy birthday right next to our leaf. So isn't that the cutest, bestest trick in the history of the world? You can cut your sentiment stamps to make them fit where you want them. Now I can still line this up side by side and make it vertical again, horizontal, excuse me. But that is this is the trick, tip 6, that if you're a seasoned stamper, I didn't want you to miss. I thought you would love this one. Now, if you love to read, if you love ladybugs, tell me below. Do you love to read more than you love ladybugs? Do you love ladybugs more? Definitely tell me if you're a reader, and if you've got a good book you like, tell us what you're reading so some of us that are avid readers can read along with you. Okay, so with stamp pads, they can either get sometimes too juicy, sometimes too dry, tend to be too dry as they get older as we use them up. You can do one of two things with most companies, definitely with Stampin' Up, is you can order a re-inker and actually refill your stamp pad. However, I tend not to do that because the stamp pads are only $1 more than the actual ink pad. So I tend to just replace it if it runs out for me, but that is your tip number 7. Tip number 8, when we are working with polymer stamps like we did with our ladybugs. Oh, I put it over here with my thingamabobby. When you use, I'm gonna grab the little flowers here. When you're working with polymer stamps, to get better results, you need something underneath them. You need a padding. Now, the brown kind of wood you see, that's a padding. The Stamparatus has built-in padding, so you only need to use that. I put it to the side. So for your Stamparatus, it comes with padding. If not, and you don't have something on your crafting table, you know what you can use? You can use a mouse pad for your stamping. So we just ink this up and we do a little stamping with it, and it's got a pad underneath, so it's gonna stamp a little prettier and a little crisper and cleaner when you have a pad underneath it. Now with your red rubber stamping, you do not need that. They have their own pads built in on top, but with your acrylics, I call it acrylic, the block I was thinking about, with your polymer, you definitely need to have a little pad underneath it. And then your tip 9 with the red rubber stamps I just shared, they do not need the padding. Now, if you're having fun so far, if you've learned something of our 9 tips, then what I want you to do is go boop and hit the like button to just show me some love. I'd appreciate it. Now, tip number 10, when your polymer stamps no longer stick to your acrylic block, and sometimes just from, we use them too much, and you know the reason they don't stick? They actually are getting dust on them. So just give them a little bath or a shower at your sink, and just with some mild detergent, wash the back of them, and they will start sticking just like new again. So that will help you. So that was your tip number 10. Now, I hope you are as excited to try out these new stamping tips. There'll be more tips coming up next Tuesday on our Tuesday Tips and Tricks. And if you've had a good time, if you've learned something, if you want to come back to the channel that does simple and duplicatable cards that are what? Fun to make, then go ahead and subscribe. And do you know when you subscribe, no one sees your name and nobody's going to contact you. It's pretty private, so feel safe and confident subscribing so you can find me again. You guys, thank you so much for crafting with me, and I hope you had a good time. That's all